Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'll call the Tuesday, March 10th, 2020 City of Homestead Committee of the Whole meeting to order at 7:22 PM and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilman Roth.
Here.
Councilwoman Bailey.
Here.
Councilwoman Avila.
Here.
Councilman Shelley.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers.
Here.
Mayor Losner.
Here. Thank you. Are there any additions, deletions, or deferrals?
Yes, Mayor, it's two deletions, tab 12, car 2845, tab 13, car 2855.
Tabs 12 and 13?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Very good. Okay. So we have before us the minutes of our meeting from February 11th, 2020. Entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Councilman Roth. Seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Are there any additions or deletions to those minutes? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, next item, tab 2, car number 2614, the Cybrarium License Agreement. Is that you, Madam Manager?
yes, it is, Mayor, and tabs 2, 3, and 4 are all on the Cybarium. I'm just going to do a brief presentation to the council prior to going through the cars. Our Cybarium. As promised, it is under construction, and it's going to be a state-of-the-art library of the future. The way it's contemplated right now, the first and second floors are going to be built out. It will include traditional library services, as well as the 4 attractions that will come before you tonight. The initial concept for the Cybrarium was a 4-story building, and it included additional amenities such as the Magic School Bus, 3D printing, texture mapping, augmented reality, and space for the Mariachi Academy. However, this was contemplating a $30 million project with significant outside investments. Those investments never came through. We're hoping that at some point they still do, and we can finish the 3rd and 4th floor of the Cybrarium, but right now we do not have that, but we're full speed ahead with our library Cybrarium in the downtown. Our Cybrarium is a library of the future. As I said, traditional library services, and it's going to address a digital divide. And what that means is that many people in our community who do not have access to the internet, they don't have laptops, they don't have computers, they'll be able to come to the downtown, to the library, and have these amenities. The Cybrarium is an architecture, it includes architecture and artistry, and it is a big part of our downtown revitalization. Now we will be able to walk to the downtown and go to our library. This is a little rendering of the 4 attractions that come before you tonight. The top left is the theater, the children's theater. Below that is the VR Cube. Top right is the centerpiece of our library, the Artistic Book Mountain. And below that is the Steampunk Team Center. There are 2 proposals for these 4 attractions, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Children's Theater, the proposer is ML3 Media. This is a convergence of art and community. It includes projection mapping, sound systems, stage lighting, custom chandeliers, bookshelves that are also seating units. It's going to be an amazing space for lots of entertaining and educational productions. Steampunk Teen Area. This is going to be an inviting and interactive space for teens with a concentration on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Also, ML3 Media is the proposer. The VR Cube, proposer again is ML3 Media. Engagement and excitement, education and entertainment. Artistic LED lighting details, all of this in our VR Cube. And interestingly, the cladding on the outside of the VR Cube mirrors the Cybrarium facade, the outside wall of the Maori side of the Cybrarium. Who is ML3? Dynamic team of experts. Emmy Award nominated, Pulitzer Prize winner, designers, architects, communicators, project managers, with over 30 years of experience, and most important to us, they designed and fabricated and installed our studio and emergency operations center right here in City Hall. So it's a group that we know and have worked with. Book Mountain. The proposer here is Taylor Studios, Inc., artistic centerpiece of the Cyberium, promotes exploration, imagination, and literacy. Who is Taylor Studios? 29 years of experience, design, fabrication, and installation at museums, state parks, and nature centers. Unique custom exhibits that inspire communities. Some examples of some of the work they've done. Muskegon Area District Library, so this will not be their first library. Audubon Nature Center. Guanatolomato Matanzas, the Visitor Center. This is actually in Florida, up, I think, just north of St. Augustine. Indiana State Museum, Cleveland Art Museum. The bottom line on this, the funding source is the Public Art Trust Fund. The Cyberium attractions not to exceed $400,000, Cyberium VR Cube not to exceed $700,000, and Book Mountain not to exceed $600,000. Also before you tonight will be another item for the purchase of the initial library collection. These are the books and ebooks, audio, visual, all that you need to open up a library. Library Systems and Services, that's LS&S. We went into an operation agreement in February of 2019 for them to run the library, and included in that agreement was the authority for LS&S to purchase on behalf of the city, providing they follow all of our procurement rules, which of course they will. The bottom line here is the funding source is the Cyberium Fund. Initial library collection budgeted amount, $800,000. Cyberium license agreement term sheet. We own the intellectual property, and this is an intellectual property license agreement with LS&S. They're so excited about this project that they actually want the right to use the Cyberium concept for design, advertising, promotion, and sublicensing in their other libraries because they have other libraries throughout the country. In exchange for that, they will give the city $1 million toward the completion of the Cyberium. The city will receive a share of any revenues that are generated by LS&S on any sublicense that they have, and conversely, if the city has sublicenses that generate revenues, LS&S would share in those revenues. The bottom line here is $1 million contribution to the Cyberium Fund. Possibility of additional future revenues. And right now, you're going to see a very brief video that shows you what the Cyberium looks like right now and what it's going to look like in the very near future. The first one, Mayor, is tab 2. This is the Cyberium license agreement. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into an intellectual property license agreement in accordance with the term sheet with Library System and Services, LLC, LS&S, for $1 million that will be used toward the development of the Cyberium. And a summary of the term sheet is that we own the intellectual property. They'll be able to use it in exchange for the $1 million. And if, in fact, when they sublicense this to other libraries, there's any revenue, there would be a revenue sharing agreement with the city.
And as I understand it, it's for a period of 39 years.
Yes, the operating agreement is for a period of 39 years, and we expect that this too will be for a period of 39 years.
And this is just simply a licensing agreement. They're not going to operate the library.
They're not going to what?
This is not an operating agreement. This is just,
No, the operating agreement was approved back in February. They will be operating the library. This is just a license agreement for them to be able to use the Cyberium
to
concept.
sell the concept to
Yes,
to others.
yes.
Any member of council like to kick off the conversation?
And also, Mayor, we do hope to bring back the actual agreement to council at the next
The-
council meeting.
Okay.
The agreement at the next council meeting.
Well, I'd be curious as to how the $1 million fee was arrived at. I mean, did we have consultants who were vested in this type of transaction, or is it a function of what we needed to take the next step in the library?
It's a good question. I don't know that there was any real negotiating. It was contemplated when we did the operating agreement. It was spoken of then. It was something that they offered. I don't know exactly how that number was determined, but it's something that's been contemplated since we've had the operating agreement with them.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing from council, I'll open it up to, Mr. Roth?
Thank you, Mayor. The license agreement gives them the ability to market our cybrarium and to profit off of it in exchange for $1 million, just so I understand this. And any monies that they make off of the subleasing of our license agreement, we will receive additional monies for that. Is that right?
Yes, if they charged a fee for the sublicense to one of their other libraries, the way the agreement is written right now, and I'm assuming this is what will be in the agreement when we bring it back, in the first year, the city would get 75% of that royalty. In the second year, it'd be 70%, third year, 65, fourth year, 60, and in the fifth year, it's 50/50. And part of what we are thinking is that we still want to encourage more investment. So if there are more investments, other entities coming in might also want to be able to use the cybrarium concept, and they too would want to share in any royalties. But after 5 years, if we don't get anything, the rate goes down to they get 90% and we get 10%, because at that point, if they're using the cybrarium concept in their libraries, it's not like the city is looking to make a lot of money on this sublicensing.
Okay, so how do we enforce, or how do we know when they actually do this, sublet this license out?
I think they would tell us, but also they have, even if you go to their website, they have the cybrarium as the library of the future. I think they would tell us, and also we would know, because we could just look at another library, and if it suddenly was a library that had the cybrarium features, we would know that they had done that. Because they have a number of libraries throughout the country, so it would be very easy to just see if they in fact were putting the cybrarium concepts into their libraries.
Okay, and I don't know that I've ever seen what our cybrarium license is. Do we have that?
It's really just what you saw tonight. This is really what's copyrighted. All of the attractions that we created with Landmark, that's what's copyrighted. That's the intellectual property. All of these attractions that allow us to call this a cybrarium.
Got it. And this, so after the 5 years, we basically don't have any other revenue source off of our license.
Correct. Not through LS&S sublicensing.
And is there any other licensing opportunities for us, because we've come up with this concept?
Well, we would like to think that if there were more investors that were willing to go worldwide with the cybrarium, that yes, we would be able to benefit from those. But from the outset, this was not something that we contemplated being a big money-making operation for the city. But obviously, it's a great benefit to us that we have the $1 million for them to be able to use it.
No, it's cool that Homestead is changing libraries across the country, so to speak, with this type of technology and this type of concept. You know, when this first came to us...
We're sorry. Your conference is ending now. Please hang up.
Okay, I'm going home now.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. When this was first brought to us, you know, with the group that was going to do the theme park portion of this, the attraction portion of it, it was almost prideful that, wow, we are changing the direction of libraries. We're changing the thought process that goes into libraries. We're bringing libraries from the 18th and 19th century into the 21st century, and
22nd.
well, the 22nd, as you guys say. But I just, I think we still have more to do to set the city apart from what the rest of the country does with libraries. And I just don't want to see some great efforts out of our staff, management, get taken and used, and we not get the credit for coming up with this project, because still today nobody does this,
I
but
know.
we are, and I think it's cutting edge, and it's once this concept gets up and running, it's really going to set us apart from what the traditional library system is. So
I'm
thank you.
pretty
Mayor.
excited about it.
Yeah.
But I think one misconception that I think I picked up on was that this is an agreement for 39 years with LS&S. But as to each library they license, we only receive income for 5 years. But potentially, if they entered into an agreement in the 39th year with a library, we would collect revenue for 5 years beyond the 39th year. The 5-year is as to each other satellite,
It would be 10% after the 5 years. So if they entered into
whatever it
the
is.
years, yeah.
But it's not we're only going to be seeing income for a 5 years period. It's potentially 44 years. The best
Actually,
case scenario.
Mayor, my understanding of it, if it costs another library pays $10 for the licensing fee from LS&S, and now they can and LS&S would be doing it, they'd be putting the attractions in their libraries, but that library system would have to pay that $10. We just get that one-time royalty of the 75% in the first year of that $10. It wouldn't go on 39 plus 5 years. It would be a one-time transaction. Sub-licensing fee costs this, and you get a percentage of
Well,
it.
what did we hear then? It was something about 5 years that I think we both heard.
Well,
5 years is
the number,
tracks
the
down.
percentage that the city gets
Okay.
each year decreases.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Split decreases. It starts at 75, goes to 70, 65, 60, 50, 50, and then 90, 10.
Sure. Okay. All right. My only concern is that we jumped at this $1 million offer without knowing whether that was a good number or it was $1.5 million or $2 million. And I understand that there's no nice way to put it, strapped for money to finish this project.
Well, I think we're stuck at $1 million on this one, but if they want to give us 2, I will accept it.
Okay. Anything further from council? Well, let's open the public hearing then and ask for, is there anyone wishing to comment on this item? Going once? All right, we'll close the public hearing then, and I'll ask for a motion to approve this item. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Roth. Anything further from council? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Avila? Councilman Shelley? Councilman Roth? Councilwoman Bailey? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Begrudgingly, yes. All right, next item is for the Cyberium attractions.
Mayor, this is tab 3, the Cyberium attractions. These are the 4 attractions that were shown in the brief presentation. Staff recommends that mayor and council approve the attached resolution designating the artistic value of the Cyberium project, approving the award of RFP 202015 to ML3, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the contract for an amount not to exceed $400,000. Approving the award of RFP 202016 to ML3, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the contract for an amount not to exceed $700,000, and approving the award of RFI 202024 to Taylor Industries, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the contract for an amount not to exceed $600,000. And Michael Landsberg from ML3 is here tonight. Mayor and council, if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from council on tab 3 for the Cyberarium attractions. Question to the manager. Are these attractions of all equal importance? I guess what I'm asking, are they all integral to the Cyberarium? All necessary?
When you consider how the Cybarium was originally contemplated, all of these attractions and more were what made it a Cybarium. So I personally would say yes to that question, that each of these components are essential to what we are calling our Cybarium.
Okay, because, it seems to be stuffing a lot into a small package. Yeah, and again, I'm late to the party on this. I have realized that 4 of you have lived with this concept for many, many years.
Yes.
The Children's Theater, for example, and my mind immediately goes to the Seminole. Are we kind of duplicating efforts there?
No, it's a small proscenium, and Michael can speak to it as well, but it's not a big space, and it will be convertible space. There'll be seats in front of, it's like a little children's area where they have the children's reading space. It takes up that much space. And the seats could move away, and it could be used for different purposes. But it's nothing like the Seminole Theater at all.
Well, I mean, that kind of programming at the Seminole.
Yeah, I think this would be more like you go to the library and there's a kids show put on by someone and the kids sit there and
I used to have kids. I remember that.
even big people
Your
can
days.
go and watch.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Bailey?
Thank you. Yeah, the way that I see that theater is more just a fancy puppet show type area. We have a special reader in, which the library was always doing. That was one of the questions that I had. Are we still going to have those, old school things to be able to turn to, go for little field trips with the school and be able to listen to special guests reading stories? The one thing, though, that I really cannot visualize is Book Mountain. Children are literally crawling around. That's like a play area.
It's a great question because obviously however Book Mountain is ultimately designed, it cannot be a liability. It cannot be something that children are going to fall off. And we're
Yeah.
acutely aware of that.
Because I know my 2-year-old would be able to get to the very top there quickly. And I love the idea of having a sculpture type attraction that represented very specifically a library. But to see the children around pulling each other up, yeah, I can't visualize that.
I'm with
And
you on that.
maybe,
The Frantic Mother Monument.
yes, I know, right? Everyone's just standing there ready to catch. Maybe that could have been one of the issues of why we didn't get such a great turnout on replies.
I think it may well be.
So
yes,
maybe
I
we
think-
could revisit that area a little more.
But we
and-
do have a proposal on it now.
Oh,
We
okay.
do have one proposal on it.
Okay,
That's the RFI to Taylor.
okay, I misunderstood that. It wasn't a
Yeah,
specific
initially-
proposal. Okay,
Initially, when we put out the RFP, no one did bid on Book Mountain, but we eventually put out an RFI, and we had 2 proposals. One was deemed non-responsive, and the other is the one that I talked about in the video, Taylor.
okay, no, I misunderstood the RFI portion of it. I didn't know that was a specific,
Do you want me to do
Response.
the presentation again?
yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. But, it's the steampunk area. I'm picturing somewhat of a Barnes and Noble, which I have personally been really missing here in Homestead, is to have a bookstore with a little coffee shop. And I think that's what, we would still go to the library often, but to just have these two kind of come together to make the ultimate experience, I'm really excited about. And that steampunk area, my kids aren't teenagers yet, but with this whole new STEAM mentality and being able to learn a little more about this cool era of steampunk, I think that's going to be a hit as well. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further from council? So we'll open the public hearing on this and ask for public to make any comments they'd like to inject at this point. Not appearing, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion on tab 3. Moved by Councilwoman Bailey, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Anything further from council? let me just add, I know we're paying for this with the art money that was moved over from art in public places. I guess art has a very wide definition, and I hope that we can, in the near future, find a way to replenish that fund for its truly intended purpose. So with that, roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Shelley? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilwoman Avila? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Lostner?
Again, a begrudging yes. Tab 4.
Tab 4, the purchase of the initial library collection for Homestead Cibarium. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve the appropriation of $800,000 for the Cibarium initial library collection and authorizing procurement of the collection through Library System Services. And as stated in the presentation, this was something that was contemplated when we entered into an operation agreement with LS&S to run the library. As long as they followed our procurement rules, they could procure the initial collection, because they obviously have a lot more experience with that than we do.
Initial questions from council? So then it's, I guess, assumed that none of the collection from the existing county library will come into this building, will start new?
That's not necessarily so. In fact, that's an important piece of the move from the old library and what, if anything, does have to come here, and/or what we need to do with the archive materials in that library. It's something that we're going to need help with, but we're something that we're aware of, and there may well be some things that come into this library. And this collection, by the way, it's $800,000, and we own it.
Okay. Do we have estimates, though? I guess we're going to be our own library system in effect.
We are our own library, but we, through the reciprocity agreement that was approved by this council, will be in the Miami-Dade County Library System. Or we have an agreement with
What I
them.
mean was, we're going to be responsible for updating and upgrading our
Yes,
collection.
we
And
are.
do we have any estimates on the perpetual cost?
Yes, we do.
Of running our own library?
We do. We do. And when we went into the operation agreement, included in the cost of it was the yearly cost to replenish the collection. And I can get that to you, Mayor. That was something that was part of the February approval for the operating agreement.
Okay, I don't recall seeing that. Thank you. Councilwoman Bailey?
Thank you, Mayor. So two things real quick. You mentioned begrudgingly saying yes to these things. I agree. I love art. I would love to see more art throughout our area. I would love to have little art galleries down Chrome Avenue. I definitely do want to see that. But if you have been to the Homestead Library over the last 10 years, our children needed more. So it was not an easy way to say yes. But if your pros and your cons and your balances, I just wanted to put that on record. As far as the library collection, I mentioned when we first started talking about it, because it was brought to my attention that we could have a pretty impressive historical collection as far as history books on Homestead, South Florida in general. So I would love to see that those
Okay.
are protected, and we might have a special area at the Cibarium that has some historical books. Maybe the education committee or another group could look at these books
Sure.
and donate them to some of our local schools. I'm sure that there are a lot of books still in great use. The schools could do something where they
Okay.
sent book bags home full of books, that we make sure we use them as best as we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for the bigger picture, maybe since we have an unoccupied top floor at this point, we seem to have two competing museums down in Florida City and one in our town hall museum, and I don't know that either of them are very secure in terms of theft or weather damage. And maybe big picture, we need to look at whether or not we need to aggregate those two very important collections to the extent we can within the library space. We do have archives, newspapers going back to day one, and the old Leader Enterprise, I think, the South Dade News Leader, that need better preservation, I believe, than they're getting now, and certain security from theft and improper use, and certainly floods and hurricanes, and uh, thinking bigger picture about keeping Homestead in Homestead and protecting our legacy. So certainly, and I really like that steampunk thing. That's a vintage railway car that will incorporate artifacts and photographs from our days gone by. So, Mr. Roth?
Yeah, just real quick, thank you, Mayor. I think we're getting a little off topic by talking about the third and fourth floor of the building, but since it was brought up, um, you know, art in public places is very important to me as well. And I don't know, city manager, that if that second, or that third and fourth space doesn't get utilized by anybody anytime soon, is there a potential for us to use one of those floors as an art gallery for the downtown area, for the local artists that are here, to display art until at some point we need that space back? Um, I think that there, there's a big demand for it. And I think if we have an opportunity to give some space, I don't know how much of the build-out is included in the third and fourth floors, but if we finished out the third floor and we could possibly use that as an art gallery. Do we know how much square footage each of those floors is?
17, Julio, was it, I think it's 17,000? 15?
So 15,000
15,000.
square feet would obviously give them a lot of space to do something if the art community would be willing to do so. And we can work out the details later, but I figured since we were talking about storage of archives and storage of newspapers and other, protecting other, memorabilias and things that should be protected for the city, for future generations to explore our city, it would be a great opportunity temporarily or permanently, depending on how we decide to go. But I think that we can explore that and bring that up another time so we can help the artists in the community.
Understood. And one thing to keep in mind is that for now, that third and fourth floor is just a cold, dark shell. There's no build-out at all. So it would necessarily, that would necessitate funding for it. I don't know, Julio, if the cold, dark shell includes HVAC, if those rooms are controlled. Yeah, but they're not built out at all. It's just a cold, dark shell. They're
All
not,
right. But so if it does have HVAC, it'll also have electric outlets in place, and
it would have,
will it be drywalled in
No.
also?
no drywall.
No drywall, okay. So we'll have to figure out some expense for that as well.
Okay.
But just keep it in mind, maybe we can bring it up and talk about it again, but I think it'd be a great idea. Thank you.
Absolutely so, and certainly it potentially would increase the foot traffic into that facility. And anything that gets more people in there that's reasonable is a good thing. Yes.
Clarification, are we going to be able to come back and see the final layout and the design, or is it done and moving forward, and they're going to break ground on the?
We'd be happy to bring it back. I mean, we've pretty much we're very close to the final build-out, what it's going to look like. Where are we with the build-out of
First two floors.
first two floors? I mean, it's totally designed at this point. Yeah. Yeah. So we can bring it back to you and show it to you, of course.
Okay.
And the attractions will just be going in and fitted into the space that's already built out. It's not built out yet. We're just finishing the exterior now.
Yeah,
And-
because the four main areas that I saw, I didn't see any quiet study time areas. So if it is a library, is that incorporated where?
That's a great question. Someone else, when they saw the presentation, they said, wow, this is great. You have all these like fun, noisy things. Where are the books? Where are all the quiets? But there is quiet space in the library. There are books, obviously, in the library. We can bring it to you and show it to you what the library actually looks like. The focus was just on the attractions for tonight.
And I think it would be a great idea to add on to what Councilman Roth was saying, is if we can incorporate an opportunity to use those third and fourth floors and maybe have parties at the Cybrarium, and maybe our property manager or the library manager would be able to incorporate those additional revenue sources, where we can maybe take
Yeah, we're definitely open to suggestions on the third and fourth floor, but obviously Reason we didn't build the four-story
Meeting rooms.
Ciberium is funding.
So whether, meeting rooms, whether it's for local clubs or for also events and children's parties. So that's it, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have a motion on the floor. We have a motion and a second for the purchase of the,
I don't think so, so I'll move it.
all right, moved by this is tab 4, moved by Councilman Roth, seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Anything further from council? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Shelley? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers? Yes. Mayor Luster?
Yes. Next item, tab 5.
Tab 5 is the purchase of various equipment with financing through City National Bank. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase 3 trucks for the solid waste fund as outlined in the attached Exhibit 1 purchase summary memo. The purchase was approved as part of the city's capital improvement plan, except for the 2 trash trucks, which were reprogrammed from a front loader CIP 2042 and is cost neutral. All 3 trucks will be financed through the City National Capital Finance, Inc. master lease as part of this approval. All purchases are in accordance with existing contracts and as such are exempt from competitive bidding process pursuant to City Code Section 2-4111A5. Part of this approval is the award of the contracts to the listed vendors. The total approximate cost of the purchases to be financed is $395,363. Annual lease payments will be $60,759.99 over 7 years for the trucks and will be financed under the City National Capital Financing Master Lease Purchase Agreement as per the city's previous practices. Annual payments will begin in March of 2021. In order to ensure that local vendors had an opportunity to participate in this purchase, the Procurement Division issued a request for information to local vendors and no responses were received.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Madam Manager, my initial question was for clarification. We're replacing some trucks and we're adding capacity. Is that correct or just replacing? We've had a lot of conversation about concurrency and density and the need for additional services, so let's, I'm sorry. Mr. Brea?
These are not replacements, these are actually increasing our capacity. Basically,
All.
all of them, yeah, they're all, what it'll do is also allow us the flexibility of if a truck breaks down, whatever, we have flexibility, in other words, to send one to get fixed while the other one's taking its place, which we don't have right now. So it does increase our capacity by the amount of trucks that we're getting.
But it's not putting more trucks on the road then, it just keeps the same number of trucks on the road?
It's keeping the same routes, but it's just increasing our...
It's ensuring reliability, not increasing capacity.
In a sense, it is increasing capacity because what it's doing is if we were currently sending 1 truck with a crane, now we can send 2 trucks with a crane and do twice the work, basically as fast. So.
Okay. Thank you. Any further from council? Over the public hearing and see if there are any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter. Not appearing, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion for approval of tab 5. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Shelley. Anything further from council? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Shelley? Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers? Yes. Mayor Luster?
Yes. Tab 6, motion to place car 2837, the sale of City of Homestead surplus property.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to surplus the attached list of vehicles and miscellaneous items that will be sold by means of an online auction or disposed of by other authorized procedures as per City Code Section 2-440 surplus property. Several city departments through fleet and procurement have determined that the attached list of vehicles and miscellaneous items have outlived their usefulness and are no longer adequate for their intended purpose. Since it is no longer cost-effective to keep these vehicles and items in operation, the city will auction them off as surplus.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Vice Mayor.
Yes, I just have a quick question. When we auction these out, these different vehicles and miscellaneous items, how much do we generally generate as a result of this? And I know that changes, but just wanted to get an understanding of how much we actually recoup.
Vice Mayor, I'm sorry I don't have that number at hand, but I will definitely go ahead and email it to you and the rest of council tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Typically, that would be very specific to each vehicle, different conditions.
Yeah, I'll give you an average price, but depending on the vehicle, some are worse than others, so.
Thank you. Councilman Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. When is the auction? Where does it take place?
It's all online. So once we get the approval from council, it'll be scheduled, and actually, we send out an email to staff letting them know that the auction is ongoing.
And we do that ourselves, or a private company does it?
No, the company does it for us, and they keep a percentage of
Sure.
the auction amount.
All right. I'd be interested to see it one day.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. All right, let's have some public comment. You know, they're lined up at the podium out there. All right, well, in the public hearing, is there anyone from the public who would wish to speak on this matter? None appearing, I'll close the public hearing. Move for approval by Mr. Roth. Seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. No further discussion. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Shelley? Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Lawson?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Next item is car number 2861, amendment to purchase order for temporary staffing services. Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. In October 2019, PO 200085 was issued to Work at Home Vintage Experts, LLC, for $25,000 for temporary staffing for 6 months for the purposes of insurance and contract review. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to amend existing purchase order 20085 issued to Work at Home Vintage Experts, LLC, for an additional $25,000 for a total of $50,000. And just as some background, Mayor, most of our temp services throughout the city for various administrative positions and customer services through Creative Staffing. We have a contract with Creative Staffing to provide temporary workers. Historically, Creative Staffing had provided an individual who could provide these services, however, that person retired. When that person retired, Creative Staffing didn't have anybody else. HR was able to find a company that did. So remotely right now, someone for the last several months has been providing those services. They're very happy with the services. They just want to extend it till the end of the fiscal year with the increased amount, because at the end of the fiscal year, Creative Staffing contract will expire. So prior to that, we'll go out to bid. When we go out to bid, we'll make sure that the bid includes these services. We just need this as sort of a gap measure to get us through.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anything from council? Okay, there are no initial questions from council. We'll have the public hearing. Any member of the public who wishes to speak on this matter? I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion for approval of tab 7. Moved by Councilwoman Bailey. Seconded by Councilman Roth. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Shelley? Yes. Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Lawson?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Tab 8. Motion to place car 2867 on the council agenda for the purchase of property insurance for city-owned property. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase commercial property coverage for the policy term of March 31st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021 for city-owned property excluding City Hall, Police Station, Power Plant, and Electric Substation. And the amount in your car is $607,879, but actually the correct amount is $597,879, which is $10,000 less. The account balance in the self-insurance fund for the insurance premiums is sufficient for this item. Since the city is unable to contract with the carriers without a broker, the payment will be made to T.R. Jones, a division of Brown & Brown of Florida, for disbursement. The renewal quote has a primary limit of $10 million shared between Westchester Surplus Lines and Axis Surplus Lines insurance companies. Landmark will provide 10 million excess over the primary limit, plus the remaining total insured value of $55,343,017, excluding wind. The policy structure will provide 20 million of wind coverage in the primary and secondary layers. This renewal resulted in a 14.1 total increase over the expiring policy period due to a significant tightening of the property insurance market caused by the natural disasters that have occurred over the last 2 years. Under Section 2-411B of the City Code, the City Council may waive competitive bidding for this insurance purchase transaction upon the finding by a two-thirds vote of the council members present that the waiver of formal competitive bidding is in the best interest of the city. And for this and the next three items, Mayor, Brown and Brown is here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Before we proceed, walk me through the process of how this entity was chosen, what's their scope, how are they paid, have we made inquiry, are there others who might find, I guess what I'm looking for is some assurance that we're comfortable that these are the best coverages at the best prices that are out there.
Well, Brown and Brown, in getting these policies, they are required to put these out to bid to get the best price. And in addition to that, after they go out to bid and we get these prices, we have a third-party expert review these to make sure that they are the best prices.
Brown and Brown is paid through commission and not, that they may earn on these policies and not directly from us, or is
Not
there-
directly from us, that's correct. And I'll allow Brown and Brown to speak to that, but they do not receive that directly from us.
Okay. But it's, I guess, and this may have been put in place before you became the manager, but the selection of the person or entity who goes out and finds these coverages is in the discretion of the manager?
You mean that Brown and Brown
The
would be...
selection of Brown and Brown to be our point person?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, I guess this was underway before you became manager.
Presumably so, yes.
But I guess you're educating me that we do have a third party.
Yes, we do. We have a
Come
third party
behind
that does
and-
review the recommendation or the policies that they've been able to get for the city to see if they were in fact the best.
And this third-party consultant is versed in the insurance markets and what the premiums and coverage should be?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from council? Do we need to hear from, does anyone need to hear from Brown and Brown? Okay. So, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this matter? Not appearing, I'll ask for a motion on tab 8. Moved by Councilman Roth. I think I heard the Vice Mayor second it. Any further discussion? Roll call on tab 8.
Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Shelley? Yes. Vice Mayor Feklos-Staggers? Mayor Lawson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Motion carries. Tab 9, purchase of property insurance for the power plant and our substations.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to renew the power plant substation insurance with Ace Energy for $285,960 and the boiler machinery insurance with Federal Insurance Company for $107,288 for the policy term March 31st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. The account balance in the self-insurance fund for insurance premiums is sufficient for this item. Since the city is unable to contract with the carriers without a broker, the payment will be made to T.R. Jones, a division of Brown & Brown of Florida, for disbursement. This renewal quote represents an approximate 11.2 increase over the expiring power plant policy and no increase in the boiler machinery insurance policy. Increase in the power plant policy is due to a significant tightening of the property insurance market caused by the natural disasters that occurred over the past 2 years. Under Section 2-411B of the City Code, the City Council may waive competitive bidding for this insurance purchase transaction upon the finding by a two-thirds vote of those council members present that the waiver of formal competitive bidding is in the best interest of the city.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? None appearing. I'll open the public hearing and invite anyone who would like to speak on this matter to come forward. None appearing, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion for approval of tab 9 for the purchase of insurance for the power plant and its substations. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Mr. Roth. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Shelley? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Vice Mayor Freckles Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Lawson?
Yes.
Motion
Thank you.
carries.
Motion carries. Next item, tab 10. Car number 2869, purchase of property insurance for the police station and city hall.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to renew the commercial property insurance coverage for the police station and city hall for the policy term of March 31st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021 through the ICAT program for a premium of $110,695. The account balance in the self-insurance fund for the insurance premiums is sufficient for this item. Since the city is unable to contract with the carriers without a broker, the payment will be made to T.R. Jones, a division of Brown & Brown of Florida, for disbursement. The renewal quote represents an increase of 14.9% over the expiring policy due to a significant tightening of the property insurance market caused by the natural disasters that occurred over the past 2 years. Under Section 2-411B of the City Code, the City Council may waive competitive bidding for this insurance purchase transaction upon the finding by a two-thirds vote of those council members present that the waiver of formal competitive bidding is in the best interest of the city.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Any questions or comments from council? None appearing, I'll open the public hearing and ask any member of the public who would like to speak on this matter to come forward. We'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion for approval. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Roth. Any further discussion from council? Let's have a roll call vote on tab 10, property insurance for the police station and city hall.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Shelley? Yes. Vice Mayor Freckles Staggers? Mayor Lawson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving right along. Tab 11, car number 2870, the purchase of terrorism insurance.
Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to renew the terrorism policy with Lloyds of London Hiscox for the policy term of 3/31/20 to 3/31/21 for a premium of $49,454. The account balance in the self-insurance fund for insurance premiums is sufficient for this item. Since the city is unable to contract with the carriers without a broker, the payment will be made to T.R. Jones, a division of Brown & Brown of Florida, for disbursement. This renewal quote represents a small increase of $215 over the expiring policy. Under Section 2-411B of the City Code, the City Council may waive competitive bidding for this insurance purchase transaction upon the finding by a two-thirds vote of those council members present that the waiver of formal competitive bidding is in the best interest of the city.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? Of the public hearing, anything from the public? Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion for approval of tab 11, the purchase of terrorism insurance? Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. No further discussion, roll call vote.
Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilman Shelley? Yes. Vice Mayor Freckles Staggers? Yes. Mayor Lawson?
Yes, thank you. Motion carried. Tabs 12 and 13 have been removed. Tab 14, car number 2874, the use of the Grand Hall at City Hall.
The foyer.
Yeah, the foyer, the lobby. Okay. A few weeks ago, I was approached by the principals of the Mexican-American Council, who advised me that the Mexican ambassador to the United States would be visiting the city of Homestead this coming Saturday. It was not firmed up until very recently, and we were requested to host a reception on Saturday morning to welcome the ambassador to our community. A very small, limited reception, coffee, juice, pastries, fruit, just a little welcoming ceremony. And the Mexican-American Council was taking the initiative and doing tours throughout our community, agricultural interest and other points of interest with the ambassador, and it's solely limited to a welcoming reception for her here on Saturday morning. They include mayor and council, senior staff, um, the Mexican American Council has invited several county, state, and federal officials who represent our area. At this time, we don't have final responses there. They will circulate them to us. We anticipate that it'll probably be 35 to 45 at most in attendance, and, as part of the custom, we wanted to bring this before the council for advice and approval. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I just have a couple of questions. In my experience with utilizing the Grand Hall with the Champions for Education, just have a couple of questions. This is on a Saturday, so what would this require of staff? Because when I had to use it after hours, I had to factor in costs. So who will open up and close, and who will pay for that? Would it be the Mexican American Council?
The manager, you want to chime in?
Vice Mayor, we do have to have staff to open up. We'll also have to have staff to make sure that everything is cleaned up after the event. And typically, this expense would go toward the requester to use the Grand Hall, unless it was funded by someone else. But there will be some expenses related to that.
Okay. At this point, would it come out of your budget or Mexican American Council?
At this point, it's contemplated to come out of the mayor's budget that
Ah,
will
okay.
typically fund those items. My council assistant will be here to set up a few of the high-top tables, put the
Okay.
tablecloths, accept the delivery of the refreshments, and,
Ah, okay.
beyond that, it's very, very limited.
Ah, okay. Is this, will there be a program or just like a reception?
Reception, I do have a copy here. I'll share it with you. This was the proposed program. Approximately 9:30 arrival. Yes, this is ambassadorial protocol that the ambassador will be introduced to the mayor and council. One member of the Garza family will introduce the event. I will provide remarks, as will the Mexican ambassador. We'll exchange tokens of the visit, photographs, and departure by 10:20. We really do not anticipate this event to take more than 45 minutes at most for the gathering. This is, if nothing else, the jumping off point for the organized tour that we are not involved in, no expense, not taking part of, but this would be stop one, or the point of beginning for the ambassador's tour of Homestead and Deep South Dade.
Awesome. And my final question is, did you say, is there an invitation list?
We have not compiled one and have not issued outside invitations. As I said, we have, they are for the most part organizing it. We are providing the venue, certainly mayor, council, and senior staff. A sample of, our senators, our Congress members, state representatives, Florida city officials, and school board officials that represent our area. Again, very, very
Okay.
limited.
So this is not an open to the public
No,
event?
it is
It's
not.
by invitation only for elected officials who
Represent our area.
our area. Okay.
Right. This is not a campaign stop
I
for a
definitely didn't want to
commission
see
or-
that happen.
or House candidates. Let's address that head on. That's not what this is about. This is about those in office who represent Deep South Dade.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
Sounds good too.
Do we have a motion for approval?
May, just a quick question
Yes.
before, sir. I just want to confirm, you're pretty sure, you don't need a microphone. You'll be able to,
I'll project.
okay, as will the Mexican ambassador, I suspect.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval? Moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilwoman Roth. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all. And let's find the agenda again. Thank you. Okay. Uh, Final item, I believe, tab 15. Motion to place car number 2880 on the council agenda, request for settlement agreement.
Yes,
Take this.
Mr. Mayor, we had an executive session on this. We went to mediation, and our insurer has approved a settlement of these claims. It was an automobile accident with significant injuries to both mother and daughter. We had an independent medical examiner evaluate this, and they've determined that this was a fair settlement for the value of the claims and their injuries. I should note that of the settlement amounts, the proposed settlement amount, $215,000, the city's liability is roughly estimated of roughly $90,000. It's the remainder of the self-insured retention, and everything over that first 100 will be picked up by the insurance company.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? We have a motion for approval of this settlement matter. Moved by Councilwoman Bailey,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Roth. Any further discussion? Have a roll call vote, please. Tab 15.
Councilwoman Bailey?
Yes.
Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley? Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fairclough Staggers?
Yes.
Mayor Lawson?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carried. Anything further from the manager? Anything further from the attorneys? All I have is just a reminder that on Monday at 5:30 is our regular weekly Charter Review Committee meeting. And I believe that next Thursday, the 19th, we have a third moratorium workshop scheduled, and we hope to see the vice mayor there. If we have to roll you in, we'll meet you in the parking lot and roll you in. All right, no further business appearing. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all. Good night.